All right, here we go, everybody. This week's episode with an old friend from way back in the day, Everett High School. Dennis Leon, the man Stokes, is going to be my guest. We're going to talk about his book, Are the Kids Okay? As tribute to his dad. It's an excellent little book that he put out. And I hope everybody gets a chance to read it and hear this story that we're going to talk about because it's going to be awesome. And looking forward to this. It's going to be great. So hang in here. Okay, so Leah, just a couple of things because you're first timer. 5 segments. I need you for about an hour. The first segment is like this is your life. I will throw it to you and just kind of intro and you just talk about whatever you want. Your whole interview is kind of this is your life anyways, but specifically, your primary family, whatever kids, however, um, Yvette, Robinson. How many children do you have?
No children.
No children. Okay, no children. Children. Okay.
It's my wife and I. I've got 3 sisters and 2 brothers, and 1 brother, excuse me.
Got it. Okay. So we'll run through that pretty quickly, and then we could just get going on this, and then let this drive however you want to drive with whatever direction we're going to go into, and then talking about maybe Roland's book and the racial disparities and all of that stuff that we went through as kids. It's just going to be free flowing. You've listened to the show.
Yeah.
5 segments, about 10 minutes each. If I give you this or something like this, that means we're getting close on our time because I know you can't see the time. And so just be aware of that. And I try not to give you a leading question. The second, third, and fourth segments are sponsored. So I got a little bit of a read to do for those and helps us pay our bills for sure. Let me get all my stuff around here. And then that's it. I mean, this is not rocket science, man.
Yeah, I've listened to your show. I like your format. It's
Thank
real
you.
kind of open.
Yeah, it's real open. It's just real free flowing. I think people, I know people like it. And we'll see. My producer was so happy with that Roland interview that he got a hold of WKR and I said, that show after cutting it up and I did all my video stuff with it and going back through it because I have to go through it in very detailed order when I do all of that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
It's excellent. And we're probably going to nominate it for MAB. We've won three MABs and I don't really lean on you have to kind of lean on the stations a little bit and just tell them, hey, this is a really good episode if you want to consider entering it in the MAB. Great. That one I think is going to win.
That's outstanding.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't get a link?
No, didn't get a separate one. I just got the one from when we met previously, and that's the one I just logged in with.
Oh,
that's all good. I'm here.
Okay, no, that's cool. I'm just curious as to. All right, great. So. Sweetness. Here we go. You will not hear music, but I do. So that's part of you've heard the show, so you know that in and out music that we do.
Yeah.
All right, let's have some fun, man. It'll be
Right.
good. It'll be good. Do you prefer Dennis or do you want to go with D Leon or how do you like to be referred to?
Leon. I go by Leon.
Go by Leon. That's what I thought. Okay. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Tom Matt Show. However, you're picking us up on our syndicated broadcast, on our independent stations, PBS, all over the place. Thank you so much for giving us the time and people being fans of the show. We really appreciate everything that you do. Remember, we have everything up on YouTube now, so you can go look at the full clip, and I do some pretty detailed excerpts where I edit up some short clips so you get a taste of what the episode's about. So that's why we do those. Last week, Brock Fletcher was here, Reality of Real Estate, Trends for 2024, kind of carried that through like we did from the previous episode with Brock. As you know, Brock is one of our sponsors, so he's here quarterly. And it's just interesting to say that the real estate market it's getting better. And that's why we would like you to go ahead and check out Brock's episodes, all of our sponsors' episodes, from Jamie White, White Law, to Craig Stiles with Ameriprise, to Brock with Keller Williams. They're all excellent, excellent. And just leading us into my guest today, who's another excellent individual. We don't put schlock people on this show, not a chance, because we want to bring you the best that we can. Calling this episode "Are the Kids Okay?" after the book of the same title, "Are the Kids Okay?" written by Leon the Man Stokes, friend of mine from way back in the day. Let me do a little bit of the bio here. Leon Stokes, likes to go by Leon, born 1959, good year. A year younger. Well, we're born the same year. He's just a class behind us at Lansing Everett High School. So we've known each other for 50 years at least, dating ourselves for sure. But hey, I'm just glad to be saying that I'm still alive. He's still alive, and we're both kicking pretty well. He was the youngest of 5 children born to John and Clara Stokes. And the primary mission today is to talk about that whole relationship and the book that he wrote about in a tribute to his father, which is very, very, very well done. Leon was a very, very good athlete. He says good athlete in his bio, but no, he's a little better than good. Playing football, basketball, humble. I like humility, including he was a member of the 1977 Michigan Boys Class A state championship at Everett High School. Those were some crazy days. Excellent student. Leon was the president of the National Honor Society at Everett High School. I did not know that. And went on to earn degrees in mechanical engineering from General Motors Institute, now known as Kettering University. Tough school. And applied statistics from Oakland University. He got that in addition to sports. Leon's interests growing up included reading, music, leading study, piano, later bass. Basically, the guy's very well-rounded, and he's here to help us understand a lot of the things that went on back in the day and what is happening today, and how we can draw connections to the polarization that we have in our society, which he and I were doing pre-show calls. We're kind of laughing about, because I had Roland Lazenby on, thanks to Leon, because he was the one who referred us to it. He's quoted in Roland's book extensively, but we talked about how we lived through a lot of polarization. We lived through desegregation. And so to look at it in today's lens is a very interesting take for us. And we're not trying to talk like old Papa, although my grandkids call me Papa Tom, and but it's a fact. And so we'll just get there in a second, talking about all these things. It's a great book, and we'll get deep dive the whole thing. I want to welcome to that radio program my buddy Leon Stokes. Leon, welcome to your first episode.
Thanks, Tom. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's good to see you again.
It's good to see you too, man. I'm glad you're doing well, and you had such a great career at General Motors, and you traveled all over the place. Let's catch everybody up on this is your life thing. Talk about your family and your siblings, your wife, and then we can get into your career, and then we'll take the step into the time machine, bro.
Yes.
Go right ahead, please.
Okay. As you mentioned in my bio, grew up there in Lansing. You and I actually go back to Walter French Junior.
That's right. That's right.
I think you're a year ahead of me, but we're at Walter French together, and then on to Everett. And as you mentioned, I was a good athlete. I think a better student. I had an opportunity to do some things sports wise, but I was always really destined to take advantage of any educational opportunity I was going to get. And so I was always able to maintain my grades, which ultimately, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, came from my father in terms of maintaining my options going forward by maintaining, my grades. After graduating from high school and that crazy time in 1977, and me graduating in '88, had an experience at General Motors Institute at the time, now Kettering University, where I was able to earn my degree in mechanical engineering. As you mentioned, that is a very, very challenging curriculum there. You really don't get very many choices. 18 credits my very first semester, 19 the second, no less than 21 after that. So they really, really put you through the rigor, but they're preparing you for life in General Motors as a leader in General Motors. My career at General Motors spanned 41 years. I just retired in 2020. That gave me an opportunity to not only develop and cultivate leadership skills, but relationships around the world. My responsibilities there as a director in engineering, quality engineering, and ultimately in validation engineering, gave me an opportunity to work with peers in engineering centers around the world, in Germany, in India, in China, in Korea, in Mexico, in Brazil. And those relationships that I cultivated there, many of them I maintain today. I exchange notes with people, in those locations at Christmas time and around and throughout the year. And again, some of the things that I learned from my father allowed me to cultivate those relationships in terms of how to deal with people. I retired in 2020. My wife and I, Yvette, we got married in the year 2000. I retired in 2020, again, after 41 years. I felt that at that point it was time. After praying about it, I kind of got the sense that God was telling me, now's the time, Leon, to move on and do other things. And when I made that decision, it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders and I was really relaxed. And that kind of convinced me, it was confirmation that now was the right time to do it. So I officially retired on June 30th of 2020, and July 1 of 2020 is when I started writing the book. And I spent a little over a year writing it, self-published it, and it's been out for about 2.5 years now. And I've been pleased with the reception and some of the feedback I've gotten, and things have gone pretty well. I think people are resonating with my objective in writing the book. Number one, to honor my father, who is by far the best person, the best man I have ever known. And secondly, is I wanted to take what I learned from him and pay it forward, share it with other people, and hopefully someone will grasp from it what I did, and they'll be able to benefit from his life lessons as I did. So that was really why I wrote the book. That brings
That's
us up to today. Yeah.
that's where we're going to go with it. I mean, that's exactly, and it is very well said. You said quality engineering, and then what was the other piece of your engineering career?
Yeah, validation. I've actually, General Motors was very, very good to me. I had an opportunity to do a lot of things. I spent a good portion of my career working in quality. I worked in manufacturing engineering as both an engineer and as a manager in those areas. And then I was a director in quality engineering and ultimately in validation engineering. And validation engineering is where I was working when I retired.
Excellent. Very, very good. Nice synopsis of your career and life so far. I do want to ask, and I'm gonna carry this through because I'd like to know where you met and how you met Yvette, but we're coming up on break here. So let me reset all this and we'll come back to that one right out of break, everybody. Don't worry about that. And then we'll get into the book and talk about what is okay with the kids. Are the kids okay? Why that Leon had to, just felt this compelling drive to write this book, and more people should do these types of things. I know it's a long slog with writing books. I've done it. I've done it 4 times, and I've actually got a 5th one in the can, and I'm just like, we got other things to do now because you move forward and projects come along, and now I get to help promote books. And so that's kind of the driving force here. Are the kids okay? Dennis Leon Stokes goes by Leon, known Leon forever, from junior high all the way through high school. Knew his brother. Sandy was mentioning your brother, and we'll talk about that when we come back because we're going to come up on break here. But there's so many connections that we have through the historical perspective of Lansing, Michigan, and we're trying to promote Lansing and what we went through as kids, what our parents went through as adults, because those were some turbulent times. And like we talked about with Roland Lazenby when he was here recently, those were turbulent times. You're listening to the Tom Matt Show. Are the kids okay? My guest today, Leon Stokes. You're listening to the Tom Matt Show. That's it, bro. So easy.
Cool.
Piece of cake. Let me get this going here, and we will rock on. My life has gotten so busy with all this stuff, with all the video stuff that we're doing. It's actually very, very good. It's got to keep everything in line, just got to keep the perspective. See, we're leaving Friday for our winter trip. I think I might have told you that.
Yeah.
And my whole goal there is just to have a very little bit of work to do. I've got my research with my personal training get done or get started at least. I don't know if I'll get it done, but for the 3 weeks we're down there. But the one thing is just to really work out hard and really kind of put myself through some double sessions down there and just, get on the bike and go. I've already found a gym to go to and just really crank it up. And that's the goal. And so
Cool.
That's part of the job. I mean, you know this now. You've been retired for a couple of years, several years now. You got to stay on top of your game if you want to stay healthy. And
That's
that's
right.
why we talk about it so much on the show all the time. You got to walk your own walk.
That's
That's my
right.
hope.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going to train somebody and charge what I charge, which is a decent price. I mean, I'm not cheap, but because I don't do a lot of one-on-ones, it is what it is. But
Mhm.
you know, if you can get it, great. Just validates everything. Here we go. This segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Craig Stiles, Ameriprise Financial. So awesome. Guy's just the best. Your Ameriprise Financial Advisor, our Ameriprise Financial Advisor. And again, full disclosure, as I say every show, we have all of our retirement zone savings with Craig because I don't want to deal with it. It's doing great. We just had our recap or analysis or whatever the heck he called it. Recently, we just did an episode on that. And you can catch all of that with Ameriprise. He's the guy and he will help you. You don't, there's no obligation to any of this stuff with any of our sponsors. There's no obligation. If you need advice, they are there to help. And that's the whole point. Okay. Craig Stiles can help you plan for the life you want today and well into the future with the right financial advisor. Life can be brilliant. Call Craig 1-800-528-1355. Local numbers 517-483-4893. His email is craig.stiles@ampf.com. Offices are located 2400 Lake Lansing Road, Suite B is in Brilliant or B is in Lansing, Michigan 48912. Again, and I'll say this several times during the show, you guys, the regular fans of the show will, this. Our website is very, very detailed. At the bottom of that homepage of that website is our sponsors and the click-through links, the banners that they have down there, they all work. Everything's there. You can catch all of our social media. If you want one-stop shopping, you want to send us a note on the contact box, feel free. Go for it. It's all there for your convenience and being able to find our guests like my guest today, Leanne Stokes. Before we get back to the interview, I want to mention some of the stations that have carried us, do carry us. It's all good. I mean, I'm just very grateful to be on any station. The first station to ever carry us on broadcast radio is WGHN 92.1 FM in Grand Haven, Michigan. Will, Tiemann, Wendy Hart, we're very grateful. We were on that station for a long time, long time. WJIM 1240 AM in Lansing is the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network. So proud to be on that. WJRW 1340 AM in Grand Rapids carried us for a long time. WKLQ AM 1490 Muskegon Whitehall, WYPV FM 94.5 Mackinac City, and of course, last but not least, WKAR, the big powerhouse at Michigan State University, our PBS affiliate, AM 870 and 102.3 FM on the simulcast, just the bomb, carrying us all the way to the shore of Lake Michigan. Craig Stiles, thank you again for creating Decideri Analytics, his proprietary algorithm that can put you over the top. That's why our money's doing so well, because he's got tools that can help you get it done. And lastly, I want to say thank you so much to Steve and Ivy Gruber for carrying us on the Michigan Talk Network. We are very, very grateful to them. And that's why we want to continue to bring great shows and episodes for the listeners of the Michigan Talk Network. So thank you guys so much for doing that. And lastly, I guess, Amazon, that thing called Amazon has 4 of our books up there. Generation Us being the latest. Maximize Your Quality of Life is there, which is gaining new steam. And we get into that with my guest today, Leanne Stokes. Leanne, I wanted to get back to Yvette and talk about your wife before we jumped into the book with your dad and the whole journey of that. How did you meet your wife? And you guys have been married for over 20 years now, so congratulations on that.
Thank
So
you.
what happened? You're welcome. What happened there? And give a little snapshot. Give her some love, please. Go right ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I actually met Yvette when I was living in Ohio. My career in General Motors moved me 4 times. I moved on 4 different occasions. And I actually met her when I was living in Ohio a few months after I left Lansing. She and my oldest sister, Larisi, were colleagues in the travel industry. And we met through Larisi. So we were able to start getting acquainted and kind of stayed in touch while I was gone. And then in 1998, when I returned to Michigan, for a job interview, of coming back to Michigan. I had called her and asked her if she wanted to have dinner. She agreed. We had dinner, had a really nice time. Then when I came back to buy a house, I was moving back after I got the job. We had dinner again. And when I moved back, it was off and running. We've basically been inseparable since.
Excellent.
Uh,
Such a
so
great story.
she's been by my side since then, and
Does she
she's been
keep you
absolutely
straight?
wonderful. Pardon me?
Does she keep you straight?
Of course, of course. But she balances me out. We are equally yoked, and she does an excellent job of balancing me out, not allowing me to take things too seriously. But she is the perfect mate for me. It has been outstanding,
You know,
outstanding for 3 years.
thank you for saying that, Leon. I mean, that's the thing about it, everybody. Finding that person who can support you and love you, and you can love them through all of the wrinkles and through all of the ups and downs. I mean, I give Sandy a lot of credit for putting up with my crazy stuff. I mean, I work with a lot of people, and she just gives me a lot of so much rope to do my work, and she is the backbone of our business. And so through all great men, there is absolutely that great woman that is
Absolutely,
supporting you, which leads us into your book, Are the Kids Okay? Life Lessons from a Great Man. Let's talk about your mom and dad's relationship and how that all started. Go ahead. Start at the beginning of the book. And we've got about 3 minutes to go before we go to break. We're going to cover the book extensively through the rest of the
yeah,
episode today, Leon. Talk about your mom and dad and that whole beginning of that journey. Would you please set it all up?
sure. Yeah, my father was born in Robinsonville, Mississippi.
What was his name
Um,
again?
Robinsonville, Mississippi.
Or your dad's name?
Oh, I'm sorry, John Stokes, John E. Stokes.
I knew
Uh,
that, but I just wanted you to say it so that everybody was out there. So John Stokes is the impetus behind the great book, Are the Kids Okay? So go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
yeah, he and his family, they were born in Robinsonville, Mississippi. Very, very poor, impoverished area. Born in 1925. So as you can imagine, in Mississippi in 1925, Jim Crow was very, very active, and there was not necessarily the opportunities to do a lot of the things that he desired to do. He was able to go through the sixth grade, but from there on, he had to leave school in order to work, which is very, very common, unfortunately, back then. His family moved to Arkansas in the early 30s, again, looking for a better way of life. And again, it wasn't that much better, but they thought that maybe there would be more opportunities in terms of to make money to support the family. My father, he was one, even at a young age, to look for and take advantage of any opportunities to better himself. Even though he had to leave school, he was always looking to learn. He learned how to do so many different things simply by taking advantage of opportunities. Someone asked, "Do you know how to do carpentry work?" He'd say, "Yeah," and he'd go learn how to do it, and he'd do it. That gave him a chance not only to better himself, but also to establish a reputation for being dependable, for being able to do things. And also, people knew that he was someone they could rely on. That if John Stokes said he was going to do something, he did it. He also, and this was early in his teens, as a teenager, was developing a reputation as a very astute and high integrity individual, where even older people looked to him to kind of mediate disputes because they knew that he was very, very level headed. And he would tell people what they needed to hear, not necessarily what they wanted to hear.
I want to
And
get back to that when we come out of break here. Leon Stokes is my guest today, everybody. I'm going to reset this because we're going to go to break about mediating and integrity and some of the words you were just talking about with opportunities, because nowadays there's so many opportunities that people just disregard, and they have no idea the hard work that our parents put in, the hard work that we've put in. And we're not trying to brag or anything, but it is what it is. And so we're gonna put a little bit of this to rest today as I talk to my friend Leon Stokes, because we go all the way back to the day of the Walter French Eagles through the Everett High School Vikings. Are the kids okay? Leon Stokes is with me. You're listening to the Tom Matt Show. Excellent.
well,
You're going to like it. Okay, read to do here, and then we'll pick it up. We'll just pick it up right there. We'll just carry the story through, and because we got 3 more segments to do, and it'll be perfect setup. So here we go. Third segment of the Tom Matt Show is gratefully sponsored by White Law. Jamie. White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. Like that tagline a lot. White Law is your advocate in times of need. That's why I'm glad to have an attorney of his reputation and his firm's reputation and his network of connections. All of our sponsors are very, very well networked across the country. White Law is no exception. They are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. We are, again, proud to have them on our team and helping us, sponsoring David DeMarco's Mad Dog Minutes, sponsoring this segment of the radio program. You can contact White Law today. Free consultation. Did I say free? I said free. Visit us, whitelawpllc.com, or call 517-777-9785. Again, whitelawpllc.com, or call us at 517-777-9785. If you did not hear the episode that I did, the initial episode with Jamie, which is on our website, which is on YouTube, which is on everywhere, I mean, go check that out. I've had people come up to me and say they had no idea that Jamie White got into being a lawyer, into the law business, because of a racial confrontation that happened when he was a child and his dad was almost killed by some not real nice people. And those kinds of things happen. They happened back in those days because he's from an interracial family, and that was a problem. And back in the 70s when that happened, it's just awful. And we're going to talk about these things with my guest today, Leon Stokes. Are the Kids Okay? Like that title a lot. Let's get back into talking about John. John Stokes was just quite the guy. I mean, you wrote a whole book about him, Leon, and what you were just talking about with Mississippi and Jim Crow. Let the younger people that are out there understand what exactly that means compared to where we are today. Now, we could talk about Everett High School and all of the things that went on then in the 70s, but you're talking your dad was back in the 20s and the 30s down in the deep, deep South with Jim Crow. Explain to some of the listeners that may have heard this term, but what, from your perspective, because you have a historical perspective with your dad, what's your take with it? What does Jim Crow mean?
Okay, what that is, in essence, there were laws that were put on the books after slavery was abolished during Reconstruction that essentially denied African Americans the right to do normal things, the right to vote, the right to do a lot of other things. These were laws that were in a number of the southern states were put in place for the sole purpose of maintaining a two-tiered system within our society. Now, obviously, that is very, very limiting to anyone who has any opportunity or any aspirations to move and better themselves in life and take advantage of what the country really did have to offer. But it wasn't offered to everyone. So for anyone who's thinking that, Jim Crow is just some phrase that was out there that, is used as an excuse for not moving forward, it's not. It was actually a limiting factor in a good portion of our society and allowing people to move forward. Now, compared to today, what does that mean? Jim Crow is no longer on the books, but in order to really change the spirit of that, you've got to get to the heart of the individual. People have to get that kind of hate and that kind of, feeling out of their heart and recognize that people are people and make judgments on people based on who they are and how they present themselves. That was one of the biggest things I learned from my father. He, coming from that environment, he didn't allow that to cloud his judgment of individuals when he met them based on what they look like. He dealt with people on an individual basis. And as Christ dealt with us, he looked at people based on how they presented themselves and how they came and made his judgment based on that. Now, if you came to him with respect, treated him with respect, that's what he gave back to you. Simple as that.
When it gets to be simple, everybody, Leon Stokes is my guest today. Are the Kids Okay? Talking about Leon's fine book in a tribute to his dad, John Stokes. What the young people need to understand, what people need to understand, not just the young people. I'm not trying to just pencil it in and say that it's just one area of the world. But getting along, supporting, and loving each other is so much better than anything else. And so, in a lot of this, yes, a lot of this racial disparity, it existed because people were uneducated. And now that we're in the times that we are now, going backwards is unacceptable. It's not happening. We're if on this radio program, we want to talk about these issues and we want to be at the forefront of the cutting edge of cutting through this bull crap. I mean, it's a fact that these things occur, but I think today, nowadays, I'd like to get your opinion on this, Leon, that the media plays up and both sides play it. I'm not pointing fingers at one side or the other. And I don't do politics on this radio program. Very rarely do we ever talk about it. However, we're in a different space now. And so educating people on how to love and appreciate what you were just talking about, the limiting beliefs, the limiting aspects of Jim Crow, it's unfortunate, but it's part of our history. I mean, that's that. Your dad took it, and if he had the respect from other people and they were given opportunity, true opportunities, that's what made him a great man. And I liked what you said about him being, if he had a carpenter job come along, even if he didn't know how to do it, that's kind of how I roll. It's
He
like,
learned. He learned.
well, look at us both. I mean, the business of writing a book, when you are self-published, it's the best way to do it because you learn the whole business of the book business. And as I told Leon, you can confirm this if you want, bro, but it's like 40% is writing the book. It's the other 60% of doing this kind of stuff and promoting the book, doing the book signings and getting out there and all of it. It's just all of the e-publishing, everything isn't that true?
That's right. That's right. I spent more time, or not more time, but as much time promoting the book as I spent writing and publishing it. So that's what, and again, like you said, I didn't know how to do it. So I'm learned on the fly how to go about doing it. So that's another thing I learned from my dad.
Exactly.
You got to be willing to do the work. If you want anything, you got to be willing to do the work.
You got to do the work. You got to show up. I'm all about effort. As a personal trainer, I like to get people get inside their head, see what they want to do and what is the goal. But what's the prime objective? You got to do the work. It's the effort. Maybe today is you're good for 50%. That's fine. Give me that 50%. I want that 50%. Not going to push you if that's all you got. Okay, let's set this up because we're going to come to break here in a couple of minutes. Moving forward in your dad's life, coming out of Mississippi, set it up, Leon, where your dad, when did he make the jump to the Midwest, like so many others did back then? Set that up and where we're going with where you want to take this episode, talking about all of the trials and tribulations that we went through. And we'll get to the high school stuff because there's a lot of people in Lansing that want to hear some stories about Everett High School and all of that. So please go right ahead.
Yeah, my dad and my mother, they were married. My mother, Clara Stokes, they were married in 1946 in Turl, Arkansas. They moved to Michigan in 1950. Excuse me, yeah, in 1950. And just like so many during that Great Migration, they came up here for work, came up here for a better opportunity. The opportunity to work in the auto plants provided him a chance to make more money and to establish the kind of family, the kind of life he wanted for his family. Family was one of the biggest things for he and my mother. One of his biggest objectives was to be able to raise a family and give them an opportunity to live a better life than he did. He had big dreams, but he kind of put his dreams on a back burner in order to enable his kids, his three daughters and his two sons to have a better opportunity. And that's what happened when they came up to Lansing. My first sister, she was born in 1950. I was born in 1959. So throughout the 50s when we came to be. 1959 is really when my journey started with my dad, and I started observing him, and he became the most important man in my life, and I wanted to observe how he was.
Excellent. We'll come back to that. I'm sorry to cut you off, but we're going to come up on break here. Again, resetting this thing. Are the Kids Okay? Fine book by my friend Leon Stokes, talking about his father, John Stokes, and the great examples that he set for his children. We'll talk about his brothers and sisters and how parents put themselves on the back burner so that their kids could get ahead. And that's exactly why we're talking to Leon today. Again, are the kids okay? Leon Stokes. This is the Tom Mann Show. Excellent, bro. Let's roll on. Here we go. Piece of cake, huh?
This is fun. Like I said, I like your format. This makes it easy.
It's just,
It's like talking with a fellow, talking with your
yeah,
fellow.
exactly, man. You're just talking to the fellas. Exactly. Here we go. Fourth segment of Tom Ant Show is sponsored by Brock. Was on the show last week, actually, talking about trends for 2024. Had a great conversation. I love talking to our regular sponsors because we have this ongoing storyline that we develop and we talk about things so that you could search the website to find the content that you need on the website. That's why it's all there, TomMattShow.com. Call Brock Fletcher. Again, full disclosure, Brock, and the selling team of Keller Williams Realty, we had so much trust in them. They sold Big House Holt, thank goodness. Love that place, but it was time to go. You know, the forever home that you think you're going to be in forever, maybe not so much forever. It happens all the time. That's why we're in Little House Lansing, which we love so much, being back in our old neighborhood where my guest today, Leon Stokes, he knows this neighborhood. He's been over here before. I know he has because we went to Walter French together, and this was a Walter French neighborhood, Walter French Junior High, the Eagles, and all the people out there in Lansing listening to this thing. They're all like, "Go, Tom, go. Let's get Leon on here." First, we got to finish up with Brock. Phone numbers 517-853-6408 is his office number. The super secret, not so super secret number is 517-303-3262. Again, 517-303-3262. That's the cell phone number. Text them, tell them you heard it from Tommy. When you say Tommy, they know it came from radio, which helps us too. Brock's super solid with us. We've sent so many leads over there, it's crazy. You can go online to kwsellingteam.com. You can Google search Brock Fletcher. You can go to our website, tommattshow.com. At the bottom, of course, like I said earlier, is where all of the sponsors are located. And away you go with that one. Sell your home without hassles, like we did, like getting some education. And we talked a lot on the last episode with Brock about his continuing to help young people learn the business. And possibly if you're not going to college, and keep this in mind, he has training programs. If you have a youngster who's 18, 19 years old and you want to get into real estate or find some work, he has a program that will make your kids very, very functional adults. And that's the point of parenting, is to get our kids to fly and be good with it. Brock Fletcher spends thousands on marketing so that he can have your home sold for you before you even know it. That's how he supports us, and we're happy to have him. We're ecstatic to have him with us. All right, talking to my friend Leon Stokes. Been a long time since we had seen each other. I was happy to get his book. I was really happy that he found me on LinkedIn and listened to the Dale Beard episodes that we did. It's crazy how we all kind of circle back towards each other from Walter French and Everett High School and Lansing, going through all of this. Let's continue the conversation, Leon. Your parents moved up to Lansing, mid-Michigan in 1950 to, like you said, with the Great Migration. Let's continue that movement forward, because that's the story, and your dad putting himself on the holding pattern so that, you and your four siblings could get ahead in life, which obviously worked because all five of you are college graduates and doing very, very well. Matter of fact, well, you tell the story. I mean, you know the story a lot better than I do. Go right ahead, please. Let's carry that story through.
Yeah, my father, as I mentioned, he and my mother, they made a lot of sacrifices. One of the things, and this is one of the lessons that I learned from him, you prioritize what's important to you. And he prioritized his family. He wanted to make sure his family was cared for. That's where the title of the book came from. Are the kids okay? My sister relayed to my older sister that that's something when they were first getting started. My mother and father used to have conversations to make sure that, the kids were okay. They had the bills to pay, but he used to ask her all the time, well, Clara, are the kids okay? Do they have everything that they need? Because that was very, very important to him, that his family was taken care of. So that was one of the things that was of utmost importance to him. And that was one of the big lessons. You prioritize what's important to you. Another thing that really came out, and this was something that as I started understanding who this man was, and as we all started observing how he lived, another one of the lessons is that someone's always watching. even when you don't know it. I was constantly observing my father, how he looked, how he carried himself, how he dressed, how he sat in his chair. And I was constantly trying to mimic him. Now, obviously, that's a humorous way of, displaying how someone's always watching. But also, my father, his second job, he had a truck where he hauled trash. And he would take my brother, James, and I out on that route with him. His interaction with his customers is something he had to be very aware of. Not all of his customers were people that he knew were black. Some of them were white. Some of them were of other ethnic segment. But how he dealt with those people was important because he knew his boys were there watching him. So he needed to make sure that he was conducting himself in a proper manner. And I carried that into not only as I was growing, but also into my career because people were watching me as a manager, as a director, on my job as an example. And this is something I really didn't know until later when they say something. People were watching how I conducted myself. So again, that was how one of his lessons kind of carried on into my life.
Why do you think that, Leon? Why do you think people were watching you? Explain to the listeners out there, maybe they're not watching the video. Why do you think that was happening?
I think if you conduct yourself a certain way, you do garner the attention of those around you. If you conduct yourself and establish a representation of being respectful, being one of high integrity, obviously one of discipline, and being one that takes your responsibility seriously, I think people see that, and I think they migrate to that. I think they're attracted to that. I had a lot of people who expressed a desire to work in my organizations because I think they felt that they could trust me, that I would be supportive of what they wanted to do. Servant leadership is how I ran my business, but I think they were attracted to that. There are times when I had people come up to me and mention something that happened years before, and they weren't even in my group, but things that they observed in terms of how I handled the situation or how I talked to people. And again, they said they resonated with them and kind of guided how they wanted to do things, guided how they wanted to conduct themselves. So you never know who's watching you. That's why it's important that you are conducting yourself in an appropriate manner. My father being a Christian and having that guide his life, that really set the stage for how he wanted to live. He instilled that into me, my sisters, and my brother. And I think that kind of found its way into how we wanted to live our lives and the kind of man that I wanted to be is to allow that to kind of guide my development from a boy into a man. And hopefully that showed in how I treated people and how I conducted myself, amongst people.
Well, that's the thing that when you're talking about my guest today, everybody is Leon Stokes. Are the Kids Okay? Talking about Leon's book, tribute to his dad, John Stokes. Excellent book. You want to check this out. Pretty quick read. It's not difficult at all, and it's really brings a lot of good points about racial disparity, about Christian living, about how to take care of people. And what I really loved, what you were just saying there, Leon, was as you carry yourself with integrity and purpose, and people watch you and they keep an eye on how you're carrying yourself, they learn from you. They emulate that type of behavior. And that's where we have to understand, everybody, with our young people, with the way we treat people nowadays, everything with respect. This stuff is transferable, very much transferable. Don't you agree? I mean, that's the way of the servant leadership, correct?
Yes, it is. And Tom, it's not hard. Treating people with respect is not hard. Treating people with kindness is not hard. I mean, it's a choice that you make. You choose to treat people well or you choose not to. But it's not hard because all you got to do, treat people the way you would want them to treat you. Okay. And if you want to bring your Christian faith into it, treat people the way that Christ treated people. Simple as that. And if you can't do that, then I think you probably need to do a little introspection into why is it so difficult to make the choice to treat people well as opposed to treating them poorly.
Well, and it's part of the point of what I do with my hashtag dad talks now, which they do get salty, no question about it. But that's the whole point, is to have emphasis on how I feel so grateful to have the opportunity to do these things and get it in front of the camera and just do it every day and just share with people, make yourself better. I need to make myself. That's why I do the videos. That's why we do radio. because every time we do these episodes, you get a little bit better. That's the whole point. Just every day, every day, every day, get a little bit better. And as you walk through your life, run through your life, and you stop and smell the roses a little bit, people will pick up on that. Let me tell you, I've been in higher ed for 25 years. I'm out there every day, everybody, and I see these students. Leon, I'm going to carry this through because we're going to come up on break here. Been a great conversation so far. I knew it would be. But you know what? The students will come up to you. They know these young people, they're smart and they see it. And if you're going to be open and honest with them, I have so many students that I talk to every single day that I'm at the gym, and I'm probably one of the, if not the oldest guy, one of the oldest for sure. I mean, it's a college gym, for God's sake. So, anyways, getting back to where we're going, we're going to go to break here. Are the kids okay with my guest, Leon Stokes, my friend from Walter French, Everett High School? You're listening to the Tom Mann Show. Great. Rolling. Okay, this is where top of the fifth here, bro.
Okay.
I'll throw it to you after I just give my website stuff, and then you just plug time. So talk about speaking engagements, talk about book sales, talk about back of room sales, talk about marketing, talk about all of it. Take your time, sell it. It just, this is your spot, okay? Here we go.
Gotcha.
How people can find it. How do you want people to get a hold of you? You're available for speaking engagements, so forth and so on. All of it. Don't be afraid to just throw it out there. If you don't tell people, here's something I've learned. If you don't tell people what the hell's going on in your mind, they never know. Don't assume. Never assume. Because they don't. Everybody's got their own, they got their own shit going on. I mean, it's just part of the game. Life is a big game. It's just how well do we play it? Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Tom Mann Show, fifth segment, podcast, WKR, some of the stations that carry us. Miss any portion of the radio program, go to the website, tommannshow.com. Pretty straightforward. Everything's there. All the social media is there. However you want to connect with us, whatever flavor is good for you. If it's Instagram, if it's Facebook, if it's TikTok, if it's Twitter, if it's LinkedIn, have a big presence on LinkedIn, and it's growing and growing thanks to our virtual assistant, Vanessa. It's all good. So go there, find us, send us notes. You got an idea. You want us to talk about a concept. You want us to do some fundraising for you. I'm down with it. I'm always about helping nonprofits, schools, youth groups, whatever. People that are out there trying to just get some exposure, like my friend Leon Stokes, who wrote this book in tribute to his dad. See, when you write books, and Leon, you can verify this. When you write books, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of put your soul into this thing. And so it takes a lot of just heart. And that's the whole thing. So talking about heart, how would you like people to find your heart, find you, get you to come speak, do some engagements? Go right ahead. Please share all of your information, Leon. Go right ahead, please.
Okay. And Tom, thanks again for allowing me to be on your show.
My pleasure.
The book, Are the Kids Okay? You can purchase the book at Amazon.com, or there's also a website where you can get more information. Arethekidsokay.com. That's OKAY.com. At that website, you get more information, more background information on the book, but there's also a contact us link where you can click on that. If you want to get in touch with me, that's a way to do that. There are speaking engagements or I should say book signing events that I've got scheduled throughout the year. Those are scheduled or are shown there on the website. Also, if someone did want to contact me for speaking engagements, that's the way to do that. I've been more than happy to come out and talk to people about my book, but more importantly, about the lessons that I learned from my father in the book and how those can be incorporated into individual lives. In addition to that, there are book signing events coming up. There's one next month in Detroit, the Detroit Book City African American Family Book Expo. If you go to that website, my website, you will see a link with more information on that. That is on February 17th of next month. And then again, there is also, at the time, this is going to bring me back to Lansing, the Juneteenth celebration that is held in Lansing every year. I had an opportunity to do that last year. I plan to participate in that again this year. So again, I'm just looking for different opportunities to kind of share the message that I got from my father and pay it forward. Again, the most important thing, and again, I don't need me to paint the picture that I was a perfect kid, and because of what I learned from my father, I made no mistakes. That's not the case. I was a regular kid. I was a regular boy, a little mischievous, but I never got in any real trouble. But the thing is, the things that he taught me always were the guardrails, and they always brought me back to the center. One of the main things I learned from him that really, really guides me even to this day is do the right things for the right reasons. Doing the right thing is, in fact, its own reward. And that's one of the things I really try and share with people when I talk to them about the book and some of the bigger things I learned from my dad in the book. So as I have an opportunity to share details about the book, either at my book signing events or at any speaking events, the main thing that I'm trying to drive, the main thing pulling from it, is that there are ways to live your life, to live a just life that benefits you, but also benefits those that are around you. It benefits those that are around you, either directly from things they learn from you and apply to their own lives, but more importantly, is it allows them to live a just life and to do things that are going to better themselves. And these kind of things, they just build on each other. They allow you to pay it forward and they build on each other. My father taught me and my siblings. I'm trying to share that message with others. Some of my friends that I grew up with, they have told me that conversations they had with my father, they incorporated that into their lives, and it kind of shaped how they did things. But it's just very, very important to understand that decisions that you make, and these are some of the life lessons that help you make right decisions. They're going to help you live a just life and be a positive impact on other people. And I think that's really what it's all about.
Absolutely, no question about it. And we could go on and talk about this. I will definitely have Leon back again to continue this conversation because this is just at the high altitude. You guys, you know how we do the first episodes with first time guests. There's always high altitude, but there's so much more that we could talk about. Just like when Roland Lazenby was on, talking about helping our culture get better, helping our area, helping Michigan, helping Michigan, helping the Midwest, just helping our country and helping people understand that this polarization is a complete bullcrap. And I mean, it is complete bullcrap because I don't buy it. I see it out there, whatever. I'm not making any real judgments on this because that's not my role. All I'm going to say is we do what we do here to support our messaging, and we are consistent with our messaging, and that's the whole thing. Let's talk about Everett High School. We got a nice
Yes.
time to go here. Let's get into that a little bit. Talk about that. Those were some crazy times. And by the way, before I forget, Sandy, my wife, Sandy Matt, wanted me to make sure that we say hello to your brother, Jimmy
Yes.
Stokes, because
I'll do that.
she was tight. Please do. I'm sure. I hope he hears this or sees it. But tell him that Sandy was asking about him because they were close, and they were a year ahead of me and in that class at Everett High School. But let's talk about. Let's take a walk into the time machine, bro. Go right ahead.
Yeah, that was great times coming into Everett playing football and playing basketball. In fact, that's I had opportunity to play football with you my junior year, your senior year. We were on the Vikings football team. I had a chance to meet and interact with some really, really good people who I'm still friends with today. The Dale Beards, the Bruce Fields, the Tony Daniels. Um, Obviously, that 1977 championship team, that was unreal. I mean, traveling with Irvin, playing on the team with Irvin was truly a joy. I mean, when you stop and think about it, he's going to go down as the best point guard in the history of the game. And I can say that I had a chance to play ball with this guy, so that was truly, truly great. And Irvin's a good guy. Anybody that knows him will tell you that. He's really a good guy. But I tell you, hanging out with him and that basketball team was like traveling with the Beatles because everybody wanted to be around. And he was just such a good guy. And again, winning that championship is something that myself and my other teammates we were inducted into the Lansing Sports Hall of Fame together, and also to the Lansing Everett Sports Hall of Fame together. And again, that's something that we'll share. That's something that we will just share for the rest of our lives. It was really, really a good time.
People don't understand again. And getting back, let's step back into the racial thing because this is where I was not all that aware until I talked to Roland Lazenby, who did that awesome book on called Magic. He's done all of this deep research on all of this. but I wasn't that aware of some of the things that were going on. Talk about how Irvin Johnson really did become like the point guard for bringing us together, because he did that, and winning helps, but it was way more than that. It was way more than that. Please go right ahead, because people don't
Yeah,
understand.
and
Back then, that was, I mean, we went through some tough times. I mean, that segregation was a rough deal.
yeah, a lot of it happened before I got to Everett. Um, his sophomore year, I was still in Walter French, but again, in the area, I mean, I was bused to Walter French. That whole thing was happening. Irvin's impact from people that were at Everett at the time was really, from my perspective, the fact that he was very good at bringing people together. He had that kind of personality that people just really kind of migrated to him. He had a way of really kind of taking and defusing situations. And I think because of the respect people had for him, they tended to listen to him and kind of follow his lead. So when Irvin was, cool with people, of a different race, I think people saw that it was okay for them to be cool with people of a different race. And I think people of a different race looked at Irvin and said, "This guy's all right, even though he's not white, or even though he's not Hispanic." So there's no reason why I need to necessarily, keep people at arm's length just because they're African American. And again, obviously, it's not that simplistic. But Irvin's personality, I think, he was always good at bringing people together, and I think he was always good at diffusing situations simply because of the impact that he had on people.
He was just a great leader. I mean, the guy was a born leader. That was and you got to get the Roland Lazenby book, Everybody Magic, because it's just,
Excellent book. Excellent book.
it's so great, and it's so many people. And half of the book is all on Lansing, and we're going to have Roland back again and talk about this. Do you remember going to the dances after the games?
I really didn't do that much of the partying and stuff, so I didn't really go to the dances after the game. I usually, would go my own way, afterwards. And if I had a girlfriend, I usually would spend my time with my girlfriend after the games and stuff. So I wasn't at too many of those parties.
Those things. Let me tell you, because I was the disc jockey for those things when we bought that big sound. We would have thousands, and I am not kidding you guys. This was unbelievable, the amount of people that would go to these events, and it was insane. I mean, it was crazy. And then, like you said, Leon, like traveling with the Beatles, man, you guys were on the road, and it was just like following all those buses going down to those regionals and the quarters and semifinals and the finals. Excellent. Listen, I need about a minute takeaway from your first visit here. Our time went by really quickly. I knew it would be. Please give me a minute takeaway, if you would, please.
Okay, again, thanks again for having me here. The book is Are the Kids Okay? Again, my motivation for doing that was to honor my father. The man, he shaped the kind of man that I wanted to be, and hopefully the kind of man that I became. It's available at Amazon.com or arethekidsok.com. Get the book. I think everyone could find something in the book that could have a positive impact on them. And I think everyone could get something out of it.
Nicely done. Very well done. I hope I can see you at the Juneteenth celebration in this summer coming up. If we're in town, I will absolutely be there to
Looking
see.
forward to it.
Perhaps we can have lunch or something like that. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you as servant leaders. That's what we do here. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. That's what it's all about. Thanks to my friend Dennis Leon, the man Stokes. His book, Are the Kids Okay?, is phenomenal. Check it out. We'll talk to everybody next weekend. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks again to Sandy, Craig, Brock, Jamie, and again, my guest, Leon. Lastly, I want to say thank you to Mitch Anderson. Remember, Tom Mitch Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. We are out. Done.
Great.
Okay.
Tom, I really appreciate this, man.
Oh, no problem, bro.
This is great. Great to get a chance to talk about the book, but also to go down memory lane a little bit.
We'll definitely get back and do some more of that, because
great.
like I said, the high altitude stuff, and you just use your intellect, your smart brain. Make sure you talk to your brother too, to come up with the next steps of where we want to go with this, because your dad's lessons, we need to carry your dad's lessons on. And
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
okay.
Outstanding.
So let's do it. Because
Great.
great people we need to showcase all of that. And we need to, the more we build together and we show this kind of stuff, Leon, if it's one person we flip, good enough.
Exactly. That was my attitude in writing the book. If I impact one person's life positively as a
All
result
that,
in the book, it was worth it.
all that matters, bro. All that matters. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much for your time and for the book. And we'll be in touch. And when this thing drops, you'll get an email from me with the links to the YouTube stuff and
Cool.
all of it. All of the Even the audio version now is on YouTube. So we just push everybody to YouTube. It's just way easier.
Yeah.
And you always go to the website too. But I would prefer, because we get credit for that when we go to YouTube. So
Gotcha.
slowly but surely, we're building that whole thing out. So thank you so much, my
All right,
man.
man. Good to see you again.
Uh, keep that in mind with that Juneteenth thing. I like, because we
Yes.
have our summer schedule, I think, pretty well set now. We'll know when we're in town. So
Yeah,
whenever that,
I'll drop you a note. Once
yeah,
I get registered and all, I'll drop you a note.
I may, thinking about it, you'll probably be back on the show before then. So
Cool. That would be
yeah,
great.
think about, another 3-4 months where you would like to go. Because we're a month out and we're
Mhm.
getting way ahead because of the travel schedule. So we're going to be about 6 weeks out here shortly. And that's why we're so damn busy, but it's all good, man. I'm not
Yeah,
complaining.
it's all good.
Thank you, brother.
All right, man. See you later.
See ya. Great episode. Love Leon Stokes. Goes way back. Guy's a total brain. I mean, 5 kids, family, dad, John, great role models. We have got to work on this racial situation in our country. And I'm telling you guys, we lived through some tough times back then. So nowadays, hate to sound like the old guy talking back in the day. Well, back in the day, things were a lot tougher and it was real. Nowadays, I think a lot of it is just blown up bull crap. That's my opinion. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, listening, being a fan of the show. Send us a note if you need anything. I'm Tom Matt. Peace out. Love y'all, everybody.